So we can start our final webinar in the series, Methods of Teaching English in Multilevel Groups. And today we're going to speak about assessment in multilevel groups of learners. So all the webinars are conducted in Sковорода-hab. You know that the video will be uploaded on our channel on YouTube, so you can share the videos with your students, with your colleagues, just to attract more viewers. Okay, so a little activity to start with to warm you up a bit. On your screen, you can see 7 words. All these words have something in common. Your task is to figure out what they have in common. I will give you a couple of minutes to think. If you're ready, you can just show you some. You may have noticed that in every word you will have the same letters. Like two N letters, two A, double S, and so on. But it's not the point. It is something else.
The equal number of the letters maybe.
No, something else. Any other ideas? When you see that, you will understand that English is amazing. Shall I show you? Yeah.
Maybe it's about layers, several layers.
No, look at the answer.
No.
If you take the first letters in every word and put these letters at the end of the word and read this word backwards, you will have one and the same word.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So
banana
simple.
dress a grammar.
Really very good idea.
Yes, so it's a miracle. Okay, so let's start our today's webinar. Today we're going to speak about the notion of differentiated assessment. Yeah, we will consider some characteristics of assessment in differentiated classroom. We will consider the approaches to assessment in a multi-level group of learners, the types of assessment, and I will present you with some fun techniques to assess your learners in the multi-level groups. So, what is a differentiated assessment? Differentiated assessment can be defined as the way by which teachers modify and match assessment with the varied characteristics, or we can say profiles of students, in order to meet their individual needs, thereby enhancing their learning and boosting their ability to show what they have learned. So if you look at the keywords here, so we can make this definition a bit shorter. Differentiated assessment is modifying your assessment, taking into account your learners' profiles in order to boost their ability to show what they have achieved. It should be mentioned that differentiated assessment does not mean that your students are working towards different goals. Yeah, your students may be working towards the same goal actually, but maybe at a different pace or by different means, and we should take that into account. Well, how can we characterize assessment in differentiated classroom, or in our case, in the multi-level group of learners? So we can say that differentiated assessment supports the learning process by helping teachers identify and address students' strengths and needs. First of all. Secondly, this assessment can be characterized as an ongoing process and it is responsive since it changes over the course of a unit in response to students' growth and development. And as in any classroom, actually, this assessment may serve different purposes. So we can assess our students in order to understand how to plan our instruction. We can assess our students in the process of instruction, to modify it on the way, and we can assess our students' achievements at the end of the course. So, three basic purposes. Here you can see the connection of differentiated instruction and differentiated assessment. So if you are a proponent of differentiation, you understand that your students are learning at a different pace. And you need to modify your instruction. And you cannot but modify your assessment in response to your students' current level of language command. If you differentiate assessment, the results of this assessment will inform differentiated instruction. It means that you will take into account all the data that you receive after assessing your learners. So here we can see that differentiated instruction and differentiated assessment are interrelated. Well, but we all understand that we work in traditional schools, traditional universities, which use traditional report cards and traditional graded system. So how can we differentiate assessment? How can we differentiate grading if we work in such conditions? Here you have some tips how to do that, but if you decide to follow them, you should negotiate your decision with the administration. But at least we have some tips. You can follow them informally, just for you and for your students to understand what progress they make and whether they make this progress or not. So you can use 3 approaches to grading. The first approach, you start with individual goal setting. It means that the first step that you take is needs analysis. You analyze the current level of your students, and together with your student, you set the goal for some period of time. So the goal that they need to achieve by the end of the course or by the end of the module, by the end of the unit, so you decide yourself. The first step is setting individual goals. And the second step is grading students against themselves rather than in competition with other students. Yeah, I suppose that's a good idea if you work with multi-level groups of learners, because you have different levels in one and the same class. Your students were allowed to study in one and the same class, and it's not their fault that their level is a bit lower. They have the right to start where they are. But if they make huge progress, they should be awarded for that. Yeah, so we can assess our students against themselves, but not in comparison with other students. The second approach, you can combine traditional letter grades. Here we have letters, but still like A, B, C, D, with numeric superscript. For example, you can give your student an A, but it can be A1, A2, and A3. A1 means that your student is working above grade level. A2, your student is working at grade level. And A3, your student is working below grade level. It means that even a struggling student can receive an A, but it will be an A3, indicating that your student hasn't achieved the predetermined criteria established for the whole class. Okay, so A1, A2, A3, you can do that with any grade. It can be B1, B2, B3. Another approach is giving 2 grades, a traditional one and a personal one. For example, a struggling learner may receive a B for achieving a personal goal and a D when compared with the class. So in this case, if you inform parents and maybe administration, if you tell them what grades your students are given at each lesson, then they will understand that their children are working really hard. They have made some progress, and they receive B. But in comparison with the other students in class, they receive D. Alternatively, an advanced student can receive an A when compared with the class, and, for example, a C because the student hasn't made any progress during some period of time. So parents will understand that their child is just lazy, not doing anything at your lesson. So what do you think of these approaches? Would you like to try them?
Yeah, I really like the last one when you can suggest the traditional way and the personal way, because it is very important for struggling students to show their progress. So they really need to be informed about their even just little progress they have. Yeah, so I like this idea very much. Maybe next term I will apply something in my feedback to my students' tests.
Yeah. Again, if you decide to use any of these approaches, you should consult the administration of the institution you're working in. But still, you can do that informally. So why not? We're all adults.
Yeah, just it's my teacher's feedback on their module tests, so I can compose this feedback in the way I like. So if I add some extra line for personal assessment, and how should I call it? Personal
Personal grade.
progress.
Yes.
Yeah, personal grade. Yeah, and I will explain definitely that I will add this extra information to my feedback, and then my students will understand what I mean. Yes, given and reflecting on their progress, or vice versa, regress in their personal grades.
Yeah. And actually, it's a good idea, to grade our students against themselves in the past rather than against their group mates or classmates. Because for struggling students, it is impossible, to catch up with the more advanced students, and for them, it is important to see their progress. Okay. Thanks. So. You may do that informally, just a couple of ideas. Let's go on. In any classroom, you can use three types of assessment you're familiar with. It can be assessment before learning. We also call that pre-assessment or diagnostic assessment. We use assessment for learning, maybe even at every single lesson. It is called formative assessment. And we use assessment of learning. It is called summative assessment, which is conducted at the end of the module, at the end of the term, at the end of the course. So we're going to consider each of these types one by one. If you conduct assessment before learning or diagnostic assessment, it will help you to answer three basic questions. So, how much prior knowledge or experience do my students have? What level of readiness do they have? And are there any students who miss the skills or understandings they need to learn the new material? Usually, diagnostic tests are much more complicated than formative and summative assessment because their aim is to identify the gaps in knowledge. But still, they can help you decide on the pacing of your instruction, maybe for the whole class or maybe for small groups of learners. They may help you decide on how much time you're going to spend on this or that topic, whether you need to speed up, or to slow down a bit. They may help you decide on how to schedule your summative assessment. So when to conduct the summative assessment. It will help you decide on the grouping of your students. Lower level students, high level students, it will be easier for you to put them into the groups according to the level of language command. You will also decide whether you will need tiered assignments or not. So whether you need to accelerate the instruction or not. Two more types: assessment for learning, formative assessment, and assessment of learning. So assessment for learning, formative, typically focuses on a single skill or concept. Present simple, for example. Yeah, you're teaching present simple, so you need to understand whether your students internalized the knowledge, and you conduct a formative assessment activity. This assessment is informal, yeah, and it may foster metacognition. This assessment is usually compared with a chef tasting the soup. So it means that the chef can still modify something, can still improve something, add salt and pepper to make the final result better. And usually formative assessment is conducted in three steps. The first step, you gather evidence of learning with the help of some activities. Then you interpret this data, and then you decide where to go next. Yeah, three basic steps. Assessment of learning is defined as collecting and interpreting information to judge students' achievements against some predetermined criteria. And this assessment is conducted in order to grade students and report at the end of a chunk of learning. This assessment is compared with a customer trying the soup. So actually nothing can be changed. That is the final result. Yeah, okay. And now I'm going to present some assessment techniques. I have tried to choose those that seemed fun. Here you will see techniques for all types of assessment. The first technique is called traffic lights. Maybe you have tried that yourself. So this technique can be used as a pre-assessment or diagnostic assessment. It can be used as a formative assessment, depending on how you organize the process. So what do you do when you use this technique? You give your students three cups of three colors: red, yellow, and green. Students put the cups inside each other, showing that they either understand everything you are saying, then they will show the green cup. Okay? Yellow cup means that they have several issues. It's like 50-50. They have understood something, but still they have questions. And the red color means that they do not understand you at all, and you need to explain in different words. Yeah. This technique can be used as a pre-assessment. If you want to introduce the new topic, let it be some grammar structure, and you ask them whether they are familiar with this grammar structure, and they can just show the color. You will understand who needs detailed explanation and who needs just revision of the material. This technique can be used while you are explaining something, and you will understand in the process of explanation whether your students need additional examples or alternative explanation. So that is the way this technique is used. It can be used as an individual work. Yeah, it can be used while presenting some new material. Some alternatives. You can ask your students just to show their thumb up, down, or on side, so upside, downside, on side, to indicate the extent to which they know something or understand something. They can use their facial expressions, or you can give them lollipop sticks with the faces, and they will show you the color. And one more way is to ask them to use their hands. So if they show just one finger, it means that they are completely lost. 2 fingers, they are beginning to understand. 3, they are growing but need help. 4, they can use, for example, some structure, but they cannot explain it. And 5, so they understand and can explain. By using this technique, you will actually be able to understand at once, by looking at all your students, how many students need help. Yeah, you will not ask every single student how well he or she understands the material. So it's a time-saving technique, I would say. The next technique we're going to speak about is called KWL, and I suppose that many of you have used this already. Uh, so basically, it is what I know, what I want to know, and what I learned. And since this consists of 3 steps, you start using this technique before, for example, reading or explaining the new grammar topic, and you finish after that. So it can be considered a pre-diagnostic technique, and the formative assessment. Its advantage is that it provides a structure for activating students' prior knowledge before they start doing some activity. It establishes a purpose for learning because they answer the second question, what I want to know. Yeah, and they can actually answer one more question, how will I find this information? And it develops learner autonomy because they can use this technique even without your help. So if they know the questions, they need to answer, they can use this technique at home. This technique can be used as an individual activity, as a group activity, whole class activity. And in the second picture, you have an example of a whole class activity. When you start working with on some topic, you can ask the whole class, the whole group, so what they already know, what they want to know, and at the end, what they have learned. And they use sticky notes to do so. You can use a simplified version of this technique that is called boxing. It is the third picture. So basically, students draw 2 squares. In a smaller one, they write down what they know already, and then, in the bigger one, they write their goal for the unit. So actually, they answer 2 questions here. That is the second one. Actually, this technique can be used for developing listening skills, reading skills. You use that at the listening, pre-reading stage, and what I learned. So they fill in this column at the post-reading, post-listening stage. It can be used for explaining new grammar. Okay, the next one. Freya model. This model is a kind of graphic organizer. It can be used as a pre-assessment and as a formative assessment. Its advantage is that it develops a deeper understanding of a word or concept. For example, your students have read a text about bullying. This graphic organizer consists of 4 categories of information, so to say. The first one is definition, then characteristics, then examples, and non-examples. So after reading a text about bullying, they formulate their own definition of bullying and they write it down. They enumerate the characteristics of this concept. They provide some examples and non-examples. So what are non-examples? Non-examples can be just the opposites of the vocabulary item or the opposites of the concept, or they can be like common misconceptions. If you look at the non-example here, so bullying, asking someone different from you to sit at the cafe table with you, even if you don't know them well. So it's not bullying actually. So it's a common misconception maybe. Again, this technique can be used for learning new vocabulary, or for checking your students' comprehension of the reading or listening text. The next one is called sensogram. So the instruction is as follows. You can modify that according to your educational context. Students are asked to complete the sensogram by jotting down the words or phrases that activate their senses when they hear the word. Here we have drama. You can say festival. You can say cuisine. So music, anything. Yeah, if you introduce the new concept to your students, or if you're going to read a text or listen to the text about some issue, so they can use that. Well, it also develops a deep understanding of a word or concept, right? Well, some more summary stuff. For those teachers who like teaching students how to read. Yeah, so it is called summary star. It is a formative technique. It can be used for assessing reading or listening comprehension, so receptive skills. It can be done as an individual or group work activity. So how can you organize this activity after your students have finished listening to a text, or reading, for example, a novel? You can ask them to write the title in the middle and answer 5 special questions: who the characters are, what they were doing, when it happened, where it happened, and why something went wrong, for example. Yeah, you can modify this star by asking any other questions. This technique helps summarize the information from the reading text or audio. Okay. I like this one a lot. It is called sketch to stretch. So students draw quick sketches to stretch their thinking and understanding of a concept. It is a formative type of assessment. It activates prior knowledge. It can help building vocabulary skills. It can help make connections. It's great for visualizing ideas. It is perfect for identifying main ideas and details. It helps to summarize and synthesize information. Look at the example here. The student must have read a text about how to control emotions or how to deal with stress. And you can see that the ideas are put into 2 groups. So what this girl, what I can't control, with some examples like other people's behavior, or when will there be a vaccine, how much lural is left, so something that you can't control. The girl decides that she will let go of these things. And there are some situations which the girl can control, and she decides that she will focus on these things, like turning off the news, staying positive, limit social media, breathe, keeping in touch with your loved ones. So that is just one of the examples, but you can modify this activity according to taking into account the text you want your students to read. Then exit tickets. So this technique is used for formative assessment. Basically, exit tickets, or they are sometimes called exit slips, written students' responses to questions that the teacher poses at the end of the lesson. So it's informal assessment of how students understood the topic of the lesson. It can develop students' critical thinking and metacognition. So what you do, you ask your students to answer one question. You give them on a slip of paper at the end of the lesson, and when they leave the class, they give this slip of paper to you. There can be different types of prompts or questions you can ask your students. You can ask your students questions that document their learning. For example, write one thing you learned today, or the thing that surprised me the most today was. You can ask them to complete the sentence that emphasizes the process of learning. For example, I didn't understand something, yeah? Or write one question you have about today's lesson. You can use prompts to evaluate the effectiveness of instruction. Like, did you enjoy working in small groups today? Did you have enough time to do the task? So actually, you ask for some feedback. Other exit prompts may include such sentences as, I would like to learn more about, please explain more about. So your students complete one sentence or answer one question, and then they leave the class. But actually, you receive a lot of information, just by looking at the answers, and you modify your instruction for the next lesson. Some techniques for summative assessment. The first one is called assessment with a blank page. How can you use that? You conduct a summative test, but you add a blank page at the end of the test. Students write down any information they think is important, but they didn't get the chance to share this information on the test. So this technique is, I would say, for more advanced students. You do not take away any points, but you can award some extra points for the information they decided to share with you on this blank page. Why not? That's a good idea for more advanced students. Choice options. Also used for summative assessment. You create a test with some bonus questions. Or you can give your students two different choice questions. So by doing so, you will give them a chance to choose. Yeah. The next one is also great, I would say, make and take. So make a test and take it. Can be used for summative assessment. You ask all your students to think up test questions themselves, and then they take this test. Of course, you participate in the procedure, and while you are discussing the questions they are going to answer in the test, you need to ask them to agree on the questions they are not going to include in the test. So the questions they wouldn't like to answer in the test. And you should ask them to say why they don't want to answer these questions. So by discussing the questions that they do not like, they will actually learn this material much better than the questions that they like. So it's a good idea. Then not for everyone. The next technique is called not for everyone. So it can be used for formative and summative assessment. You divide your students into two groups. Some students take the test, and some students form an assessment committee. So while some students are taking the test, the committee makes a check model. So basically, they prepare the keys to the test. So they discuss the answers, in the group, they agree on the correct answers, and then they check the other group's works. It helps them to revise all the material, and it actually develops their metacognitive skills. Well, this technique is good for again multi-level groups of learners, because lower level students can just take a test, and higher level students will discuss everything. They will agree on the keys, and they will check the other students' works. This one is great. Instead of conducting an exam in class, you can allow your students to take this exam home. It's a summative technique. But if you decide to allow your students to do some exam assignment at home, you should make sure that this assignment involves not just mere reproduction of the material, but it also requires students to find some additional information, maybe online, to analyze something, to synthesize the information. So this assignment should be more meaningful, more authentic than just a standard exam in the class. The complexity of this assignment should be relatively high. That was the last one, and here you can see all the techniques I've presented. So traffic lights, what I know, what I want to know, what I learned, charts, sensogram, summary star, sketch to stretch, exit tickets, assessing with a blank page, make and take, prayer model, choice options, take home exam, not for everyone. I will give you a minute to think which technique you would like to try in your educational context. So which technique is more appropriate for your group of students. Maybe some of them you find more interesting than the others. Maybe some of them you have already tried and they worked well. So, can you share?
Yeah, I think about such a technique as make and take.
Mhm.
Very soon, the students will have their exams or pass-fail exams, and maybe for one of the pass-fail exams, such kind of assessment will be okay. Yeah, they make questions themselves, and then they answer them.
Yeah, and it doesn't
Right?
mean it doesn't mean that you shouldn't participate in the process.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
You will also be a co-author of this list of questions,
Yeah,
just to
and
make
I
sure that.
like assessing with a blank page because it is always interesting to get something new from
Mhm.
not planned from students.
Again,
Very good.
I have mentioned that this technique is better for more advanced students, but actually, struggling students can also share something, something unexpected. And you will grade them not for the test they have taken, but for this additional page. Okay. Any other techniques that you find interesting, Anna Alexandrovna?
So I like exit tickets because I think that it can provide you with a very quick idea of students' feedback. Yes, it just for me it correlates. It's on the verge of the feedback and of learning outcome you have gained today. And I think that this is a cool idea. You can modify being online, offline with some sheets of paper or with some online resources. But it's very easy to get the quick idea how your students feel about their learning, and it will give you some ideas to reflect on. So, and if you don't mind my clarifying some points concerning traffic lights, yeah, I have one question. So when my students give different colors, yeah, so which teacher's reaction is expected? Just after or simultaneously I should react to these colors?
So this technique can be used before you introduce the new material, yeah, and while you're doing that. If you use that as a diagnostic test or as a pre-assessment technique, then you can just start your lesson with, today we're going to, yeah, to learn some, for example, grammar topic. If you feel confident, then you use the green cup. Yes, if you are not very confident, then the yellow one. So, and then you can put your students in response, yeah, to the colors. So to say, you can put your students into 3 groups. So that is just the way to group your students according to the level of their skills and knowledge in this topic, right? Well, and if you use this technique while instructing your students, for example, while you are explaining a new grammar topic or while you are discussing some answers to the questions based on the text, then you react in the process. So if some students gave correct answers, but some students didn't get them, then you can discuss that. Yeah, that at once.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, any other techniques that you would like to try?
I would like to try more, but I would like to give the floor to other participants to share their opinion. Yeah,
Yes.
I like even just more than one.
So in the chat we see, yeah, that KWL charts take home exam. You should be cautious with, I would say, take home exam, because you should think, yeah, of the assignment that is creative and authentic, for your students not to find the answer online, not to cheat, not to use chat GPT to generate the answer, and so on and so forth. So this assignment should be well thought through. Yeah? Okay. Any other ideas? No? No. Then, Yulia, sketch to stretch. Yeah, for artistic students, yeah, a good way to organize all the ideas you learned. So in some text. Yulia? Oshega, Yulia.
Yes, good evening. I just wanted to clarify one technique, if it's okay. Take and make and take, yeah? I can, yeah. If students make the test, do they know that they're going to take it or not? Or they make it, and after that, I tell them that they're going to take it.
They know that. Well, actually, that is up to you. But still, I would warn them that they are going to make a test and take this test. But you participate in the process of making the test. Yeah? And what I have mentioned is that if they do not want to include some questions, then they should explain why. They don't like some vocabulary items and they don't want to use them in their test, or they don't want to answer some questions. And when they are explaining why they wouldn't like to use this or that in their test, yeah, then they will actually unconsciously they will learn this material.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
They
Thank you.
will benefit from that as well. Okay, that's it. Yeah. Then that is our final webinar, and I can't let you go without this webinar series exit ticket. So here you can see differentiation stairs. So step one is actually you are a differentiation loser, so to say, and step 5 you are differentiation master. So the question is, what's your progress? You can see an example, yeah, of your answer. Like you managed to make progress from step 2 to step 4. Well, you decide yourself. So how did this webinar series help you to grow in terms of differentiation? 3, Sophia, I say 3, but I need your initial level, yeah, and the current level. So your progress.
So I think I didn't know anything about differentiation. So obviously 1, and now I think I'm about 3.
Mhm.
I would rate myself like with 3, just because to get a 5, I think I need to do something to implement the knowledge
Ah,
into the action.
So you have a lot of knowledge, yeah, but now you need to, to use that. Okay. Well, I see one more answer in the chat. 1, and 4. Okay. So I see. I'm glad I helped you with that. You're a bit shy to share. Still. Well, uh, yeah, thank you, Olena, for participating. 1 up to 4, okay. 2 up to 4, yeah, okay. What about 5? Not yet. You need to use this knowledge, yeah. 2, 4, okay, I see. 1, 3, 1, 3.5. 3.5, somewhere in the middle. 2, 4, okay, yeah. I'm glad that this webinar series helped you a bit, yeah, with so differentiation in your classes. Thank you for participating. So that is our last webinar, and I promised, that you would receive the certificates. So as soon as they are ready, I will share them with you. So I will send the e-versions of the certificates, to your email addresses. You mentioned them when you registered for these webinars. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please, you're welcome to share maybe some impressions, some feedback. So anything you want to share with us today. Thanks for all the reactions.
Okay, I just want to add the following thing. Just when we discussed assessment techniques, so one of them was exit ticket, and there is just one of the ideas, my aha moment. Yeah, so I think that I can share the opinion of many of the participants that we all got a bunch of ideas how to make our teaching multi-level students or groups just in an interesting, meaningful, motivating, and stimulating way. So I want to thank you very much for this very
My
interesting
pleasure.
and informative, extremely informative webinars. Thank you very much. You are a master.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for this feedback. Anna Alexandria.
Yeah, I would like to express my deep gratitude for such a stunning and beneficial journey for us, just for us to be better in teaching of English methods. I think that we have gained a lot to implement and to apply. Yeah, some term. Just, I mean, my experience. Yeah. And as I always say, that sharing is priceless. And today it is a great team to work together, to share the ideas, yes, and to grow in our profession. Yeah, it is very important because our profession needs constant development, I should say. So without any end at the end. Yeah. The more I know, the more I understand I don't know. Yeah, and so on and so forth. So all the time we have a lot of gaps to bridge. Thank you for showing these gaps for us. And now we know some ways how to bridge these gaps and to avoid some teaching mistakes when we work with students of different levels. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining, for participating, yeah, for supporting me all the time. So I hope that next term we're going to meet again for another
Yeah.
webinar series. Thank you so much.
We will join. If you announce, we will join.
I will.
Yes, and we will start our new journey of our professional development alongside with our professional enjoyment here.
I will. Yeah, I will. Okay. Yulia.
I want to thank you because all this information was kind of new for me, and I'm glad that I have to give or have to see all this information and see a lot of techniques that can be useful in my future practice with a lot of students, and I'm very grateful for that experience, and it was very interesting and useful.
Thank you so much. Yeah. For the kind words.
And one more point to mention, it is very important. You have managed to find gorgeous warm-ups. Yeah. So with these ideas of finding
I did my best.
snowman, yes, of even today, yeah, we can see that very simple words, but we can't guess. And in this way, just I really appreciate your way, yes, of warming us up.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks a lot. So then see you next term. Thanks for coming. Yeah. All right.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you. Thank you. Thanks.